And once again, good morning, everyone. I'm California Attorney General Rob Bonta. I want to thank you for joining me as I announce a new lawsuit challenging the administration's latest attempt to weaponize the personal sensitive data of vulnerable American families. Trump, his administration of children and families is trying to disclose troves of data about families who receive financial assistance through the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families Program, or TANF, to the Department of Homeland Security and other federal agencies. This program, also known as TANF, once again, is one of the largest sources of cash assistance for lower income American families. It provides over $16 billion in grants to states every year to help prevent families from falling into poverty. That funding supports approximately 350,000 families in California each month. In California, the funding primarily goes to CalWORKs as well as to tribes throughout the state to help struggling families get through difficult times and help them get on the path to financial independence. The funds can be used to help families with the cost of housing, the cost of food, utilities, clothes, and medical care. The Trump administration is trying to exploit this critical safety net program for social security numbers, marital status information, income information, and other sensitive data from current and past recipients, all to fuel its mass surveillance efforts, its attempts, ongoing attempts that it's shown in many places and spaces to collect more data about more Americans and put it all in a singular central database. This approach is cruel, it's unnecessary, and most importantly, it is illegal, which is why I'm leading a coalition of 23 attorneys general and 2 governors in today's lawsuit. This is California's 81st lawsuit against the Trump administration. Before I go into more detail about our case, I want to recognize the government law section at California DOJ who have put in a great deal of time and hard work to bring this complaint to court. I'm grateful to work alongside such a remarkable group of public servants. They don't do it for the recognition, but I want to recognize their important work on this case and many others. Now, to tell you more about the lawsuit, last month, the Trump administration issued what is known as a Systems of Record Notice, or otherwise known as a SORN, claiming that the administration of children and families has the authority to share years worth of sensitive personal information it has collected for TANF and DHS, for TANF with DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, and other federal agencies. It doesn't have that authority. This notice is a blatant attempt to dramatically broaden the federal government's role in overseeing TANF, a role that's explicitly and strictly limited by the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act of 1996, which created the program. When Congress designed TANF, it gave the states substantial flexibility and autonomy over the funding to prevent the excessive red tape and overbearing oversight that had long plagued prior child poverty programs. With this notice, the administration is trying to wrest power, seize power from Congress that Congress never intended it to have. On top of that, the administration gave no reasonable explanation for breaking from decades of lawful practice. And it tacked on a new condition for TANF funds that our states weren't notified of before we accepted them. I'll say it again. The administration's attempt to raid TANF data is illegal, pure and simple. This notice violates the Administrative Procedure Act, the Computer Matching Act, and the U.S. Constitution. Unfortunately, it's not the first time Trump has tried something like this, and it's not the first time we fought back. We blocked Trump's Department of Health and Human Services from providing DHS unfettered access to individual personal health data, and we blocked Trump's USDA's demands for personal sensitive information about millions of SNAP recipients. We've stopped Trump from abusing and misusing people's personal information before, and with this lawsuit, we intend to again. People who are struggling to get by shouldn't be afraid to turn to their government for support, to feed and clothe their kids, put a roof over their family's head, or get critical medical care. They shouldn't worry that accessing the help they need may result in the exploitation of their personal information and violation of their privacy. As a society, we should be judged by how we treat the most vulnerable among us. Across the board, Trump gets straight Fs. you have my word, I'll never stop protecting California's personal private data, and I'll never stop pushing back against the president's mass surveillance efforts. I'll never stop defending the rule of law and always stand up for those who have the least. Before I turn it over to questions, I want to again thank the individuals on my team who stand with me in our commitment to protecting Californians' rights and privacy. While they're not in it for the attention, they certainly earned worthy recognition from me and from others. Camille Framrose, William Bellamy, Harold Kern, Andrew Kushner, Todd Grabarski, and Matthew Wise. Thank you for your incredible work and for getting us to where we are today. We are on file in the District of DC as of today, and proud to be able to announce this 81st lawsuit. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
If you would like to ask a question, you may do so by clicking on the raise hand icon at the bottom of your screen. We will then be moved into the queue. When we invite you to speak, we'd ask you to state your media outlet and your question. You may also use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen to ask a question. And our first question comes from Kevin. Kevin, you are now unmuted. You'll have to also unmute on your side.
Thanks. This is Kevin Rector with the LA Times. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hi, Kevin. You're a little soft, but I can hear you. Hello.
Okay. I'll try to speak up. You mentioned what you perceive to be a move by the Trump administration to collect all of this data into a central, some sort of central database. Is that based on the perception of the various moves, or is it based on discovery in any of your cases related to data sharing? Can you go into a little bit more about why you suspect that all of this data is going into one central location?
Yeah, and we've talked about this before, and I think the Trump administration has talked about it before, but certainly there's, I guess the answer to your question is it's based on both. Both the ongoing efforts to collect more data from more places and share it in ways that's unlawful, including sharing it with the Department of Homeland Security and with ICE. We've seen this same move, if you will, the same effort to collect data from certain places in the federal government and then share it with DHS and ICE. We've seen it with SNAP data. We've seen it with Medicaid data. We've seen it with TANF data. And we've also seen ongoing efforts to collect other data that is not something that the Trump administration lawfully has access to, like voter roll data from many states. I think they've lost, forgive me if my count's wrong, I think it's 19 different lawsuits challenging their unlawful efforts to seek voter roll data from different states. They've lost every one. I think they're 0 for 19. Forgive me if my 19 number is wrong. The O, I'm very confident in. It's just a matter of how many states, as of today, they've unlawfully tried to collect data from and then have lost in court in those efforts. And then they have the SAVE database. I think it's well known that that's a database that they have, that they monitor, that they are trying to build out and add more data to. And the Trump cruel, inhumane, and often unlawful mass deportation agenda is on full display. We've all seen it. And I think the Trump administration is trying to fuel their SAVE database with data that they don't lawfully have access to from across different parts of the federal government. And, there's also been quite a bit of writing around, from journalists around what this data might be used for. Trump has shown his desire to be very partisan and political, often in illegal ways, going after blue states, going after certain policies that blue states and any states, because of the 10th Amendment, have the ability to pursue and advance in their states, and has tried to attack those policies, whether it be reproductive freedom or gender affirming care or support for our immigrant communities. What I call our pro public safety, pro community trust approaches, what the Trump administration calls sanctuary states, DEI programs. He's tried to attack all these programs, and I think and approaches and policies, and by collecting data, I think that's part of the strategy to attack and target those policies in those states to weaponize that data. And certainly we've seen the Trump administration very willing to weaponize the machinery of government, including the United States Department of Justice, and politically persecuting his political opponents like Tish James and James Comey, among others. So that is much of the basis for my position here, that this data, in this case, the TANF data, is part of a broader effort to collect data in unlawful ways to fuel and create and support a database that's used for other purposes that are likely also unlawful.
Thank you.
All right, our next question comes from Aton. Aton, you are now unmuted.
All righty, thank you. And Mr. Attorney General, thanks for taking the time. I only just wanted to clarify, just to make sure. I know you had mentioned that some of the information they're seeking is things like marital status and other things like that. As far as you know and believe, do you believe they're also seeking immigration status? Thank you so much.
Very possibly. I think we've sort of highlighted that they're seeking Social Security information, marital status, income information. Part of what TANF does is it provides support for eligible children in mixed status families when the parents, because of their immigration status, may not be eligible for TANF benefits, the cash assistance, but the children, because of their eligible status, are. And so we think that they might be interested in that information to potentially target the parents. But it's part of a broader effort to collect all sorts of different data, many data points across, here 300,000 families in California each month, to target individuals based on their broader political agenda, whether it be immigration enforcement, which is certainly top of mind of our concerns, but also targeting when it comes to attacking access to safe and legal abortions and reproductive freedom, to gender affirming care, to other types of services and programs that this administration happens to not agree with.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Ashley. Ashley, you are now unmuted.
Hi, Mr. Attorney General. Thanks for doing this.
Sure.
I have more of a logistical question about the 81 lawsuits. I think I've asked about this in the past, but the legislation that gave the Department of Justice the funds to proceed with these lawsuits, provided a framework for there to be like a website by the Department of Justice to keep the public and taxpayers updated on the status of these. Is that still in the works? I know you have a website and you have the press releases listed for all of them, but there's no it doesn't seem like there's actual tracking or publicly available updates on these various lawsuits. Just any insight you have into that.
Sure. We have a webpage, and maybe that's what you're referring to, Ashley. First, thank you for the question. I appreciate it. And we can share that webpage with you to make sure that we're looking at the same thing. I will say, with 81 lawsuits, there's many developments in many cases, often multiple developments in a single day. So it's an ongoing and important effort to keep it updated with the current status. But the broad strokes, when we've secured a restraining order, when we've got a preliminary injunction, when we have a final judgment, when the Trump administration has thrown in the towel and just given up and failed to advance their case and decided to comply with the law, or when we've won at the U.S. Supreme Court, we try to get those key components in there. I'll also say that we report out with the press and do our best to be as open and transparent about the status of all the cases. When there's questions, we're happy to talk about any and all of our cases at any time. I've also briefed the legislature in person from time to time. But to your question about the webpage, we'll make sure that we're talking about the same webpage, and we are always doing our best to keep it updated and informative.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And it appears that is our last question.
Super. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your presence and the